Good morning everyone, my name is Rachel Davies and I would like to welcome you to EDF2615 News. Making headlines today is the issue of physical activity in the workplace. Today we will be discussing whether or not employees have accessible active transport between where they live and the workplace itself, whether the method of active transport is practical to their work, and if the physical infrastructure at the workplace is conducive to physical activity involvement. Here's Jessica May to explain the methods used to obtain this data.
Thanks, Rachel. So this study of research involved conducting open-ended questions through the use of a survey-based interview, looking at multiple areas of influence where the workplace could have on improving physical activity levels. This method allows us to structure set questions so that we could receive relevant responses to our study, but also to obtain detailed qualitative data. The use of the worksite audits was valuable in assessing how the worksite could potentially facilitate physical activity and whether or not they had any influence on their physical activity levels. From these two methods, we are going to be able to gain general understanding of each of the subjects' physical activity levels. The selected subjects consisted of various occupational roles such as tradesmen, retail sales assistant and office workers. This variation of job professions allowed us to get a greater insight into how different workplaces address promoting physical activity. Now we have Ben Blattman, Jessica Fox and Emma Risley to address these three interests.
Thanks, Jessica. Well, I guess to summarise the first points as to whether employers have access to public transport, all subjects stated that they had access to public transport facilities. Yet, majority chose not to utilise these facilities. Only one of the subjects reported to use public transport to travel to work. Here is his response.
Probably the bus, because it's close by, it's really cheap, and it's really hard to find a car park near my work.
This leads into our second point on whether the method of active transport is practical to their work. Most subjects identified public transport as being impractical to their work for reasons differing between occupations. Trade workers preferred to drive as it was easy to carry tools and other equipment, as well as the fact that they may be having to drive to different work sites throughout the day.
I usually drive my car because I got to take tools to work and it's a lot easier than trying to take it on trains and buses and yeah. Fuel money, fuel allowance for work, and my boss pays my EastLink.
Whereas a common reason for office workers not utilising public transport was the inconvenience and time constraints associated with this method of transport.
Lastly, we looked into the physical infrastructure of the subjects' workplaces and how it was conducive to their physical activity involvement. Trade workers were lacking facilities promoting activity due to their worksite being mostly located outdoors and constantly changing. However, all trade workers identified that their work was physically demanding, requiring heavy lifting, climbing ladders, carrying tools and being on their feet all day. This was discovered in multiple interviews. Here we have two responses.
Well, most of the day we're pretty physically active, obviously building walls, building a house, so it's our time to sort of sit down and have our lunch and relax and regain our energy, I guess.
Active because I'm a carpenter, so dig holes and build walls and build houses.
On the other hand, office infrastructure was mostly conducive to physical activity, including facilities such as bike racks, gyms and showers, which were discovered using the audit. However, most subjects stated that whilst they have these facilities, they rarely utilise them due to time constraints of work breaks and a lack of motivation. Here is a response from one subject.
The workplace is my home. It has showers, even has other various amenities. It also has home gym. It has push bikes, so there's bike racks for storage of those things. So yes, it does promote healthy living and activity. And do I use them? Look at me. No.
Furthermore, additional questioning through surveys showed us that only half of the subjects met the National Physical Activity Guidelines. For adults, this includes 30 minutes of moderate physical activity on most days. However, of these subjects, whom were both a combination of tradesmen and office workers, all had stated that physical activity was primarily completed outside of work.
I would say I do. I do a lot of physical work and I play sport twice a week.
What sports do you play?
I play basketball and volleyball.
Back to you in the news studio, Rachel Davis.
Thanks, Ben. So I guess to conclude, the workplace has the potential to influence one's physical activity levels. However, from this study, most decide against using the facilities provided, due to reasons such as impracticality of facilities, time restrictions, and a lack of motivation. With that said, half of the subjects believed they met the National Physical Activity Guidelines, while the other subjects concluded they did not. That's all for today, guys.
And you stay classy, Ruth and Justin.